I live in Chicago, and there are no shortage of world-class steakhouses here. But sometimes you want that steakhouse quality steak in the comfort of your own home. And that's what today's episode is all about. The Porterhouse rules. Let's break it down. On one half of the steak, we have the filet mignon, very tender and really juicy. On the other half, we have the New York strip steak, known for its high marbling and ultimate flavor. So you're pretty much getting two steaks in one. And let's talk about the bone. Anytime you can get a piece of meat on the bone, that means more flavor and the meat is actually sweeter. And lastly, but not least, I always buy my meat from a trusted source like Allen Brothers. First things first, the steak has to be at room temperature. You've heard me say it before, but if you cook a cold steak right out of the fridge, it's gonna cook unevenly and it's gonna be super tough. And doing that to a piece of meat this beautiful would be a darn shame. Now let's talk about seasoning. On one half of the steak, I'm gonna season it super aggressively with salt and pepper, and I'm gonna pat it down. Now, anytime I talk to professional chefs, they always say the main difference between home cooks and restaurant cooks is seasoning. We don't season enough. And when you have a steak like this, I mean, check this out. Look how thick this is. You're gonna have to season this really aggressively because a lot of that's gonna stick to the pan, and you can't season the inside of the meat. So you have to go heavy on the outside, and when you think you probably put a little too much, you might wanna do a little more. Now on the other side, I've got my dry rub. If you click on my other videos, you get the recipe for Bobby's smoked ancho spice rub. That's got smoky paprika, a little bit of cayenne pepper, brown sugar, and ancho chilies, which are that fruity, not too spicy starter chili. But I'm gonna give it a healthy coating on one side because what this is gonna do is while my steak is coming up to room temperature, it's gonna kind of soak into the top layer of the meat. And when I sear it later on, it's gonna form a nice crust. It's been an hour, and check out how the salt has brought out some of the moisture in the steak, and you can see that dry rub has really penetrated deep down into the meat, and that's gonna create that nice crispy crust. Now to get that, I have a cast iron pan here that's preheating over medium-high heat for about 3-4 minutes. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil, and then take the steak, rub side down, and put it flat in the pan. And that's the noise you wanna hear. Make sure it's flat and just walk away. You don't want to sit there and prod the meat and touch it and peek under it like that. You're going to ruin the sear. While the steak is searing, let's talk more about the Porterhouse. Now, it comes from the short loin region of the cow, and that's the most underutilized muscle on the cow. That's why you have such a tender steak like the filet mignon. So after it's cut, it's wet aged. Now that means it's sealed in a package with its own juices for anywhere from 5 to 7 weeks. And what happens is the enzymes inside the meat start breaking down the protein. That's why you have a super tender, very juicy cut of meat. And finally, the butchers at Allen Brothers hand cut every steak, so you know you're getting the best prime cut of meat out there. After 4 minutes, let's take the steak off the heat completely, grab it out of the pan, and flip it dry rub side up. Now comes the kind of unorthodox part. We're gonna cut this steak off the bone. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, steak's not done yet, and you're right, it's not. But we're gonna finish it in the pan, cut into pieces. And one of the reasons why I can do this is a thick steak. It's 1.5 inches. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the bone like this and put it back into the pan. And then I'm gonna take each section, I'm gonna cut them into about 1 inch to 1.5 inch pieces. And you can see it's still rare in the middle, but we have that nice sear on the crust. And the benefit of doing this is that it's gonna cook a lot quicker. And also, you can't overcook your steak because you can peek inside the oven when we finish it and see what the temperature is of the steak. You could throw it back in the oven like this, but I wanna gild the lily just a little bit more. So I'm gonna reach for a little bit of my citrus herb butter. Now, if you remember, we made this in a past episode. You just click on the link below, it'll show you exactly the recipe, how to do it. I'm cooking with a prime steak right now, so you don't really need to do this because the flavor is there. But if you have a choice piece of meat that doesn't quite have the same amount of flavor, this is a great way to boost that flavor. And I'd say this is gonna go in the broiler for about 3 to 5 minutes, but peek in there after 3 minutes and see how the meat's doing it. This steak only took 3 minutes because I like it medium rare. Nice and crusty on the top, that herb butter completely melted, basted into that meat. Now, if you're serving for a dinner party or some friends, I recommend just putting the cast iron pan on the table and letting your friends pick out the pieces they want. And man, this smells insanely good. I could really smell that herb butter perfuming off the meat here, and I gotta cut into this steak right now. The meat is so tender. I got lots of nice beefiness, tons of juice, and that butter just basted on top makes for almost like its own sauce. That sear has a nice crunch on top. If you make this for your friends at a dinner party, you are going to be the stuff of local legend. The whole town will be talking about you and your rock star dinner parties.